Hi, everyone. I'll skip the usual introduction, but this is an event from Data Talks Club. If you're interested in our events, there is a link in the description. Do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we have an amazing Slack community. If you have any questions today during the interview, there is a pinned link in the live chat. Click on that link, ask your questions. I'll just jump directly into our the usual intro. Leonid, if you're ready, we can start.
Perfect. We can start, yeah.
Okay. I accidentally pressed this new Copilot button, and now my press like it. Anyways, okay, so I have the document open now. So this week we'll talk about building communities in the data and AI space and the story behind Data Maker Fest. Our guest is Leonid. Leonid is a researcher and practitioner working at the intersection of data, AI, and real-world application. He currently leads research and development at Dare Data, and his work covers machine learning, sports analytics, and applied AI across various industries. Now, Leonid is the co-founder of Data Makers Fest, which is my favorite conference, data conference, not only in Portugal, but in Europe. I haven't really visited conferences outside of Europe, so which makes it my favorite conference, data conference in the entire world. So this conference unifies data practitioners to share the practical experience and learn from each other. So I want to talk to Lenny today about his career journey, building communities, the idea behind the conference, and everything it takes to run one. And if you didn't hear our conversation in the beginning, Leonid mentioned that he has been very, very busy last 3 months. And I suspect it's related to the conference. So I am actually very grateful for Leonid to find time to join me today so we can talk more about these things and we'll learn what it takes to actually run a successful data conference. So welcome to the interview.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Alexei. And it's really great also to be here with you and talk a little bit about the conference.
Yeah.
And I know you're a big fan, and we're always happy to, of course, have you there. And I think anyone who's actually driving communities, we'd love to have them because I think all of them are in the same spirit, kind of that we have at Data Makers Fest.
And I think this is how we connected because Leonid, you are one of the first people who joined Data Talks Club back in the day when we started it. And back in the day, I was so when somebody joins Slack, I get a notification. I still get these notifications today. Today is just overwhelming. I cannot catch up with everything. But in the early days, like maybe, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 people would join per day, and I would message everyone. And this is how we met. So you were one of the early members, and
it was still COVID. It was still COVID time.
Yes,
I think.
yes.
Still, everyone is at home as well.
Yeah, and since then we've been in touch, and the conference wasn't there yet, so I witnessed like the first edition, second edition. Now it's going to be the third edition, right? Plus, you worked a lot with meetups. So for me, it's because I'm very passionate about communities. So not only because you're one of the first members of Data Talks Club, but also because I'm passionate about communities. I want to learn from your experience. So I'm really happy to have you here today. But I want to start with the career journey. So I know already a few things about you, but maybe can you tell us more? How, can you tell us more about your career journey so far?
Okay, well, it's a bit unusual, but I think this is where it also a bit led me to this community and kind of working inside communities, and I think it also taught me a lot. So, I did start studying telecommunications engineering in Portugal. It was actually the long title of the course is something like computer engineering and electronics and communication, something like that, like a very long course title, which was very broad, and then it kind of branches into this small subparts. And I went really into computer engineering and computer and telecom communication engineering. But also in parallel, while I was studying, I joined this organization called BEST, Board of European Students of Technology. So it's an NGO. And I did a lot of things there, in which at some point I also managed groups across 32 countries in Europe, because I became at some point the vice president of that organization. And I think that helped me learn a lot on managing a lot of people, when you get people together, how you can learn and do different things. And that's, I think, what pushed me then to do a lot more of different things, which is a bit outside of the normal let's call it profession, right? after that, I still organized TEDx University of Porto, because I also wanted to bring people together across different faculties we have at the university. We have medicine, we had medicine, sciences, engineering, and all of them are very kind of fragmented. And I want to promote a bit multidisciplinarity, again, this community part. And then afterwards, after the university, I moved into software development. So eventually became head of engineering at TinyCap. That's basically a health tech startup, also located here in Porto. And this is where I got a real taste for building products that solve problems, basically. There was a problem that doctors needed something in their pockets which could help them in their day-to-day life, and we really worked real hard at that problem. But at some point, I made a little bit like a shift, a complete shift, let's say 180-degree shift in my career, and I left to do a PhD in machine learning, which was applied to sports, but I did also a little bit of recommending systems, and this was at the University of Antwerp. I mean, building the startup was very exciting and interesting, but I also want to go deeper a bit on the data science side. Sports physiology were also kind of a passion of mine at the time. I was training for a marathon, so everything kind of connected together. And through all this time, I kept on building communities, and I had a lot of these side projects which helped kind of build communities. I did manage and help grow the SPT. So that was the data science community in Portugal, which we had meetups from Porto, Aveiro, Braga, Lisbon, for the ones who are familiar with Portugal anyway. So that's a lot of cities. And there was a really like a big national community present. And this is also where the taste for bigger events, data science events, started, because we started organizing the SPT Day, which was 400 and then 600 people together. Then when COVID hit, and I was also abroad with my partner Rui, we also, and another person, we also co-founded World Data League, which was basically a data science competition focused
And that
more on
was
urban.
our first
That was our
collaboration,
first.
right?
This is how we met. Huh? That's when we were organizing this competition. The whole idea was that we would have this like different rounds where you can do different competitions. You could learn. There was a community. We wanted also to build a community around it where people could help each others, and that you, even if you failed on your first challenge, you still had the time to catch up and learn and then develop things. And then we really focused more on the impact that it could be, especially in
Well, it's
cities.
so fun. Now I remember it. Like
Yeah,
I totally forgot about this, but you included
that
me in the
that's
process, and it was so fun. What
yeah.
happened to this initiative?
Well, COVID stopped happening and
Okay.
people could go outside again. So how the format was there, it was really that you had to spend a lot of time working on it. And since people were spending a lot of time at home, they didn't mind, and it also connected people while they
Hmm.
were at home. So the competition was in teams of 4 to 6, if I remember correctly. And this meant that you get to spend this time with people you might not even know, and connecting and building something together for a bigger good. And I think kind of this is also why it motivated a lot of people to participate, because if you remember COVID, you really were seeing like 1, 2 people, seeing a lot of people from work
Yeah,
on
that's
Zoom, but not.
how Data Talks
Yeah,
Club started.
yeah.
It was during
So
COVID. Like
there you
everyone
go.
was thinking about like, okay, how we can connect.
Yeah, but then COVID kind of started to people
Mhm.
started to go back, and we saw this when we went to organize the third edition, that we were having a bit harder time to get participants,
Mhm.
because just you needed a commitment of 2 months for this, and then this was not already something people were willing to do, especially that they were locked inside for 2 years, I think it was by that time. So yeah.
Yeah, it's better to
Anyway,
travel to Portugal instead of sitting home, right?
yeah, yeah, exactly. So yeah, this is like I think, and then I did with now, and after that, I mean, we co-founded this company, which is Ripley, where we kind of want to bring this idea of community to different levels, and one of them is the data makers fest, but the other one is also Data Lead Club, which is more a smaller thing. Like I think it's the same problem that maybe data scientists had 10 years back, when you were that one person in data and you need like a community where you could share and discuss. Now companies have bigger teams, but the data leaders are kind of stuck in their where they have their team that they need to manage, but they really have some things that cannot really discuss them, but they also have the upper management, and they're kind of, I wouldn't say alone, but they have a lot of topics I think they would rather to discuss with peers. And this is also, we have this also happening. It's only in Portuguese, and it's for more the data leaders in Portugal
Mhm. How was it
that
called?
work.
How is it called again?
Data Lead Club.
Data Lead Club. Okay, I
Yeah,
didn't hear about this. Well, I
yeah.
guess because it's in Portuguese, as you mentioned.
It's
That's
in
why
Portuguese,
it's
but
like
I can
you
share. I
speak
can. I
local.
can share the link. Yeah, but I can share the link
Mhm.
afterwards. So, but
I
it's
assume we have listeners from Portugal and
yeah.
maybe Brazil. I don't know if how inclusive you are in terms of geographies. But
But it's a very in person. This is why it's in Portuguese
okay,
because it's
I
what
understand.
what we focus on is more like events which are in person. Let's say 1 day and a half. They stay in a hotel. It's more like a retreat, like where they can have
Uh-huh.
time to discuss the topics and slow down from the like busy life that they have on their job, and they really go deeper into
Mm-hmm.
different
You
discussions.
still do this thing, right?
Yeah, it's so we organize it twice
Amazing.
per year, and it's kind of a more of a membership level. So also because people need to be comfortable sharing things around other people, so we have a bit
Mm-hmm.
more. It's a bit more exclusive in that sense. Not
Mm-hmm.
that we want it to be exclusive, but more in the sense that we want the people who are there that they're comfortable with the
Mm-hmm.
other members and that they're comfortable with being a bit more open and sharing. So they
Well,
really
that's
need to
very
align
interesting.
with the
Interesting.
values.
Mm. Interesting
Yeah.
initiative. And it happens under the umbrella of Repli, right?
Replay, yeah.
Replay.
So it's
Mm-hmm.
basically the company was found really to do things around this
Mm-hmm.
kind of community kind of initiatives, and we need some kind of legal entity for this. So yeah,
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's very
and
interesting.
yeah, and maybe now, I think that you mentioned it. You mentioned also now I lead research and development at their data, which is super interesting because I get kind of combine the PhD part and the research part together with the more industry. And I think that's where the sweet spot is for me in terms of work as well.
Mm-hmm. Last time we spoke, it was October or end of September.
Yeah,
Um,
thanks. So.
yeah, it was 2024, I think.
At
Um,
the event, yeah,
at the event, yeah. And I think you were still defending your PhD, right? Back then.
yeah, yeah, and moving
So,
back to Portugal as well. It was a tough
hmm
time.
So you lived in Antwerp for some time and then you were moving to Portugal. Now you live in
Yeah,
Porto, right?
yeah. Now in Porto, yeah, yeah.
hmm So since then you started a job. You are head of data right now.
Head of research and
Head
development.
of research and development. Oh, that's really cool. So can you tell us more about that? Like what do you exactly do? So you said um it's related to sports, right?
My PhD was related to
Your
sports.
PhD is related to sports. Okay.
My PhD was
How
related to
did
sports.
your marathon go?
I finished it. I don't remember how long. It was already a long time ago. This
Okay.
was already even before I think I started my PhD.
Uh-huh.
But if I finished it, it was
Yeah.
crazy. If anybody feels like challenging themselves and really wants to prove that they really can stick to a goal, I think it's an interesting thing to do. It takes 4 to 6 months of training.
You need to climb.
Um, well, I was running before. I was already doing
Oh,
half
okay.
marathons before. I was already doing
Okay.
like
I
I
was
did,
also running half marathons. It's still like it's insane.
but
It's
it's
like
insane. It's like your whole Sunday just goes on a training session sometimes
yeah.
because you start, you run, then you have to go back, then you tire, then it's just all of like I have 2 kids now. Now it's impossible to
hmm
to
So
do
you
this
don't
again.
run anymore.
No, I hope to start running again or
Okay.
cycling. I've been enjoying cycling a lot, just a bit
hmm
more dangerous in Portugal.
Yeah, I signed up for the second marathon for me. I don't know why. I guess I like I like
At
suffering.
least, at least it's tell me that it's in more than 6 months from now, or you're
It's in
training already.
September.
But you're training already.
No, I should start.
No,
I mean,
you should
after
start.
I run my first one, I have been in hibernation mode.
No, yeah, then it's a
So,
good idea to start.
so
It's a good
okay, so
idea.
your PhD was about sports, physiology, this kind of stuff. You finished
A
it.
bit of everything. A bit of
Uh-huh.
everything, actually. Really, like from predicting who could win a cycling race, and also
hmm
did some things on physiology, computer vision as well. So there's a lot of different things.
So now you're Dr. Leonid, and
Yeah.
you work as head of research and development. So what do you as head of R&D?
Oh, that's an interesting one because it's the first. It's we actually the company itself just opened this department really recently, so we're just also starting, and this is connected, I think, a bit to the product we're developing, which is GenOS, where the idea is that we have we see that there's a need for, and I know there's quite some solutions there, but I can also get a bit to the value proposition of it. But there's a need on more enterprise level products where you can manage all your AI activity and
AI
models and
activity. Okay.
yeah, and models um, through one central platform, and that is agnostic also to different providers. Because
What kind of activity?
let's say anything you might have from workflows
Hmm.
to chatbots to and anything that you use AI for. And this is, I think this is also going to become especially super relevant when the AI Act in the European Union will become enforced.
Hmm.
That you'll need to have auditability, you will need to know what each model does, where
Hmm.
it's working. And on the other hand, it also allows the same experience. So basically that you don't have 10 different products, but you have the same experience across all of your agents, and that you know how to use a tool. Everyone knows how to use a tool. So basically everything is centralized. And this can go anything from trying to see um, how your chatbot is replying, where are the problems, that you can create issues when you find problems when the chatbot is not replying as it's supposed to.
Hmm.
And eventually, and this is what our department is starting to look, the R&D department is starting to look into, how it can also self-improve and kind of suggest actions that you can take, which will improve your which will improve how your chatbot or how your workflows perform
Hmm.
without that much human intervention in it.
So it's basically a monitoring and observability platform into all Gen AI stuff.
Yeah, basically,
Hmm.
basic and improvement. So also
Improvement.
that, yeah.
And it's a bit of topic we want to talk about the conference, but since you mentioned that, and right now we have this series of events about AI engineering, and I recently spoke with a data engineer, and his idea was that he wants to get into AI, and right now he's working on something similar, although it's not related to Gen AI monitoring, but more like data monitoring. So what he wants to do is a system that automatically detects some issues and automatically um, proposes solutions for these issues. So I think this is where you also want to go, right? So can you tell us more about this?
I think this is more related in a sense that, let's say, your I can give you an example. Let's
Yeah.
say that you have a chatbot that's replying on 11,000 documents or 15,000 documents somewhere,
Hmm.
and there's a specific subset of questions that you and it has also a lot of usage. That's another perspective. So let's say it's 500, 1,000 messages a day, whatever. And how do you then find in this huge haystack of different of different messages, how do you find where you're not replying correctly, and how do you improve it, and how do you identify it, how do you put it together? And I think that's going to be the largest thing that we need to
Hmm.
address somehow is, if we have all of these processes happening with AI, how do you think, how do you see what's actually wrong, and how can we improve it? And I think
Okay.
this is a bit the space where we want to look. And this is why I say enterprise, because I think
Hmm.
for smaller scale, you have a lot of really great solutions out there, and that's a really steady problem. But when you have this massive amount of data,
Hmm.
how do you and work automated workflows, like how do you make it really automatic, and how do you find problems and solve them? And when do you know when to involve a human, and when do you let the machine actually go
Hmm.
on? And this is, I think, kind of the problem space we're more looking at.
Hmm. Did it help getting are you a co-founder there or you're an
An employee, an employee.
employee? Okay. Did it
Uh,
like your activities as a conference organizer, as community organizer, did it help to get this job?
I think a little bit, a little bit.
A
Yeah, I
little bit.
would say a little. I would say a little. I think it's you get to know a lot of people. You get to talk to
Hmm.
a lot of people. Um, and I think that you get really also people see your work and how you work. I think that's another important thing. And I think, or at least I really like to believe so, a lot of people who organize communities and work in communities, especially when it's, I won't say on a volunteer basis, but yeah, but sacrificing free
Hmm.
time that they might have on it, I think that they really believe in it. And then this is where you can see that that's the type of personality who really wants to make things work, really wants to develop things. And I think it's kind of also a good way to kind of
Hmm.
show this. I think it comes down to this.
Hmm. And interesting that you mentioned volunteering, but then kind of corrected yourself. There is, of course, this money aspect, right? So when you put a lot of effort, you want to also get something in return. But on the other hand, we are talking about your full-time job. So it means that the conference alone does not cover that, right? So
No,
you
no,
have
no,
to
no,
have,
no.
so it's still, in this sense, it's still volunteering, right? So even though if you manage to get some money,
Yeah,
it's good
for
because like if you're losing money, you're also losing motivation, right? So you don't want to just pay for the conference out of your own pocket.
yeah, I think this is the same conclusion we came with my partner Rui. So, I think I mentioned him several times here
Yeah.
because we did a lot of he's besides being more he's also one of my best friends. So we did a lot of work together, and this is what we also realized is that it's I mean the volunteering has a lot of value, but then at some part of your life you have less and less time. So then you cannot use out of hours, like out of work hours to organize these things if you want to continue organizing them. And then also you need dedication. In order to give dedication, it's not going to be 2, 3 hours at the end of the day that will help you dedicate, but you really need to have 1, 2 full days where you can really focus on things, talk
Hmm.
to people, reply to emails, make things moving to help the in this case the conference grow and to kind of build up. And it's also the budget for these things is huge. I mean, just how much we spend on audio visuals, on hotels, on the venue itself. It's also huge. So if we really want to grow this, then we really need like this
Yeah.
time where we can
Also,
do it.
venue, it's going to be the same venue as last time, right?
Yeah, it's going
So
to be
it's
the
like
same.
a
And
huge venue. Like
yeah,
I cannot even think, I don't even want to think how much it costs you to to rent it.
yeah. Actually, it's the problem. It's not the venue. So the venue doesn't come with any. Well, it's also expensive, but that's
Hmm.
just half the cost. Let's put it this way, because it doesn't come with any. It only comes with the stage and the chairs. So
Hmm.
then you really need to rent out all the other thing, like from sound
Hmm.
speakers to lights to stage design to whatever. So there's really a lot of costs in it, and I think
Hmm.
people sometimes might not see that some as well.
Yeah, I have so many questions about that, but I want to go back to the
Sure.
days where you were just running a meetup. It was Data Science Portugal, right? Um, and then, yeah, tell us the story. How did it all start?
Well, actually, again, well, I'm going to go back to Rui
Hmm.
because he's the one who started it. And basically, he had the same problem I think that we were already discussing before. So he started working at he has a background in maths. He started working at a company as a data analyst, I think so, or data scientist, one of those two. And he was the only one at the company. And basically, when they hired him, they said, "Listen, you're going to be the only one, so you're going to have to learn on the job. You're by
Hmm.
yourself." And he was starting looking around who else was doing this. He started getting people together, and it was. We would need to check with him what were actually the details on how many people were in the first meetups, but he started just pulling people around and getting people together to share
Was
the,
it
the
in Portugal
experience, what they're doing. I
or?
think he started. I'm not sure if he started in Porto or in Aveiro, the first one,
Hmm.
but it's in the north of the country because he was
Hmm.
working in Aveiro at the time.
Hmm.
And um, and yeah, and I think that just rolled from there. It was one meetup, then another, then that one person knew the other person, kind of brought all those people. And it's interesting to see that the people who were joining those meetups at the time, who were working as data scientists or whatever, now actually have quite big roles
Hmm.
in Portuguese
When was it
companies right now. Of
approximately?
2017, 15. I
Okay.
don't remember it by hand, by heart. I mean, I don't
Hmm.
remember by heart at all.
Okay. Well, it's quite some time ago, like 10
But it's some
years.
time ago. Like you can imagine, like it was just data science, not it was just starting to be a
Yeah.
thing. I think at the time he always tells me the story that one metric and one thing he was monitoring is the amount of jobs
Hmm.
in data science. So, and I think at the time if you search for data science jobs in Portugal on LinkedIn, you could like see like the page in the end of the pagination, like it was 8 pages or whatever. I don't know.
Hmm.
And now if you look at it now, it's like infinite. So you don't see the end of it, and you cannot get to the end. So
Well, I wish now. I think it's still. So during COVID times, it was infinite. You couldn't see the end, but I think
that's true. Yeah, it's
now it's
but now you
growing.
have a
But
lot of but
yeah,
now you have a lot of AI jobs, right? So
yeah,
AI
right, right.
engineers and
Oh
whatnot.
yeah, it's like the field has diversified a lot. So it's not just data
Yeah.
science. It's not just one umbrella job, but like so many different ones. Okay, so it started there, and at which point did you join Rui?
I joined. So I think I'm trying to remember. When I joined Tony Cap. So that's a good question. Uh, I would say 2019-ish, somewhere
Hmm.
around there. And I started going to the events because I wanted to learn more. So I did my master's thesis connected already to data. I did that course that everyone did at the time from Andrew Gu on machine learning.
Hmm.
And then I wanted to learn more. I wanted to see what opportunities are there, what kind of jobs, what kind of things I could learn, like how do I evolve in this field, what was being done, what was not being done. And I started joining these events. And then at some point on those events, I also met Rui. We started talking a lot. He told me about his plan to organize larger events. So not just the meetup, but really like a bit like Data Makers Fest, but
Hmm.
a bit smaller at the time. So it was 400, 500 people. Um, and we did the first event. And I think since then we were organizing other things together. I was helping to organize the meetups in Porto. Um, Up until when I left to Antwerp for my PhD, and even still there, I did a couple of things. But while I was there,
Hmm. But also when you were in Antwerp, it was COVID times, right?
yeah, I arrived in 2019 and COVID started in 2020. So
Hmm. Okay.
yeah,
So then it was easier to collaborate on online things while you were
yeah,
geographically in different locations.
we did a DSPT we did a DSPT in online as well. So the
Hmm.
last like this DSPT conference was online, and we had I think around 1,000 participants or more,
Hmm.
1,500. I don't remember anymore, something like that. And I think the cool thing that was there, and I think that's where we have sometimes struggles with the in-person events, is getting people to the conference. But when
Hmm.
it was online, it was much easier because people, I mean, well, two things: they had more time because they were at home,
Yeah.
and two, they don't need to travel anywhere. So it was much easier
Yeah.
to have people on online
So
events.
I had similar ideas. So when Data Talks Club started, we had events, and these first events were super successful. So I didn't need to do much, and like the first event attracted over 100 people. So then eventually I thought, it would be a nice idea to have a conference, online conference. But even with online conference, all I need is Zoom, right? And broadcast it somewhere. But like thinking of the schedule, getting guests, like dealing with cancellations, and it's online, right? I don't need to think about any equipment, any like renting a venue. And
Yeah.
it was so much headache. And after I did one conference, it attracted a lot of people. People really loved it, but I was like, no, I'm not going to do this again. And I cannot imagine like what you need to go through to arrange a physical offline conference. So can you tell us more about this?
Physical. What do you mean physical? Is it
I mean
physical or online?
physical offline, I meant. So because
Offline,
like
offline. Okay.
in the physical world, not
Yeah,
in a Zoom call, right? So when you
yeah.
need to rent a venue, you said you have no idea how many other things are there that are not visible. Because I thought, well, I was naive me, I just thought that when you rent a venue, you get everything. Like you just need to show up. But
Yeah, yeah. I wish that.
you wish, yeah, it was the case. So tell us more.
Yeah. Where do I start? I think well, venue is the first thing.
Mhm.
What we notice, it depends a bit on where you live and so on. So in Porto, there's this thing that there are not that many venues which are um, big enough and interesting enough for the amount of people we want to bring together. So you're left with Alphandiga, so they can have a bit of monopoly on this side of things. And it's a really cool location as well. So that's that's
Very
that's
central.
also
Yeah.
yeah, it's very central, and also it's pretty. It's thanks to the river,
Oh
so
yeah,
it's
for me
really
as
nice.
a tourist, it's amazing.
It's a really nice place, even for local. I mean, just the traffic together is a bit shaky, but even for
Mhm.
locals, I mean, I really like having events there. But yeah, the issue is that it's always booked well in advance. So we
Mhm.
already booked dates for 2026 and pre-booked for 2027,
Okay.
and paid the deposit already for 2026. No, sorry, no, the other way around. Wait, no, we're in.
We're
Yes,
2026 now.
yeah. So we already booked the dates for 2027 and paid the deposit and pre-booked the dates for 2027, and
Okay.
still we couldn't get the ideal dates that we want. So we're
Hmm.
really kind of playing this game of trying to see how we can fit things inside.
Okay. But
Because
it
they're
was just a
just,
spoiler, so at least we have a conference next year. We don't have to wait for a year and a half, right?
I hope not, but let's see. Let's see. There's it's not official yet. So
Okay.
don't take my
Okay,
word on
so
it.
don't listen to like pretend you haven't heard what
Not
Leonid said.
official, not official yet.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
where was I going with this? Yeah. So that's the first thing. So getting the venue, especially if it's big, you're going to need a place to have them. And many times we have to play this game of trying to find of Jenga trying to find the best slot in the calendar that works for us, and that there's availability. Because also setting the dates is not as easy as it might seem, because you have Easter holidays, you have
Hmm.
Carnival holidays, you have bridge days. So those weeks typically are really bad because people take them off. You have summer holidays, which like any event from June to mid-September.
Yeah.
You also the holidays don't like you don't want to put it too close to the holidays because you won't be able to
Hmm.
organize things. Ticket sales depend a lot also on when it is. Even if you think, but mid-September people can come, the problem is that you cannot sell anything during August because people are not paying attention to any of the
Hmm.
communication. So you really, and then there's other events as well. So when you start putting all of these things together, you start to get shorter and shorter and shorter amount of time when you can actually organize these.
Hmm.
And then there's also the availability of the venue, so it becomes really small. And then we also need to play a bit with the season, because
Hmm.
if we do this in a high season, so this is why we also kind of moved the event to May,
Okay.
because starting October until Web Summit, which is around mid-November,
Hmm.
it's filled with tech events. Portugal, like
Okay.
it's really like a lot of tech events happening, and finding a good date there sometimes is a bit hard, so that you don't overlap with also some of the
That's why
events.
you decided to wait a little and to
Yeah,
organize something in May instead of
and if you do
September.
it, too early, like end of September, then the prices are still high season prices in hotels and flights, which we also
Hmm.
help the speakers for the travels, and also we want to have
Hmm.
more international speakers. So we thought, maybe let's do it in May, because with May is a bit more March, April, May, it's a bit more mid-season.
Hmm.
And then in that time, prices are not stupidly high, and we can also host people, and there's also not so much competition as there is in the second semester.
Hmm.
So that's the idea behind it. Also,
Okay.
the date changes as well.
I would never think about these things. Well, of course, like the only way to find out all these little details is either speak to somebody who's organizing a conference or just try to organize one yourself, and then you realize that, okay, I need to also think about this. So we talked
Yeah,
about venues, we talked about time of the year, but also there are many other things like
yeah.
getting speakers, um, I don't know, organizing the timetable, because I imagine like one speakers cannot come on this day, like it's a total mess, right?
Yeah.
Then like equipment. So tell us more about all this stuff.
So I think maybe just to the venue, there's always, of course, like getting all the equipment, AV systems. It helps to some. We have a really great person who we work with for a long time, Ricardo. He's basically to the venue restricted to the company we can work with, but he's our liaison with any tech company we find, because you need to someone who could interact with them and also protect a bit your interests, and also understand like the equipment that they're proposing you to have, because we have like a roster of, I don't know, a 3-4 page list of equipment that they will put, and we need to know if that makes sense, if it doesn't make sense, what happened, like if this will work, if this is exactly what we need. And Ricardo has been really great with all this stuff, and a bit we don't have to think about
Because
it
for
as well.
me, if I'm a speaker, I just show up and you already just hand me the microphone
uh,
and I connect my laptop, or maybe there is a laptop provided already, and that's it. Like for me, the experience is smooth. But
yeah
to make this experience smooth, you have to go through, like you said, you have 3-4 pages long list to make sure like these things work together, right?
yeah and then from the speakers, so that's a bit my department. From the content side, what we tried, so we've been evolving this process as well. For the first year, I think starting the first, we always had a call for speakers. So we try to see who wants to come to the conference, and we provide some support. So it's not that we pay 100% of the flight and hotel, but we do provide some support And we also, of course, offer the tickets and also to access to the networking dinner. There's a lot of fun stuff happening. But then when we have this, then we start looking into, okay, what topics are we covering, what are we not covering, and then we also reach out to other speakers as well to come. But I think the biggest difficulty sometimes is the keynote speakers, because you need because it's an event like for the kind of the full stack. So you have data engineers, you have now a lot of AI engineers, you have data scientists, you have ML engineers, you have some management roles, but more in the like mid-management that are managing more the data teams, not so much on the executive level. You have some people coming from academia, so you really need to find a really nice round topic.
The challenge sounds familiar.
Yeah, yeah. So it's that's, I think that's the most challenging one, and we do have quite some budget for this, but it's always a bit more difficult to find, like, to strike the right profile to speak at this event, that it's not too technical but also not too broad and not too philosophical. And I think that's the most challenging and interesting part of it as well. And then, yeah, and I think, and what you said about organizing the schedule, that's also a big mess. But this year we have something called Cloud Code, which helped us build an internal tool to classify with embeddings the different descriptions and try to group things together automatically, and then optimize the timetable. Basically, it wrote itself an optimization script which optimizes the timetable, and then we just had to make some adjustments on our own. But it was much easier because
was there no solution for that?
No.
Okay. I'm surprised. So now, like with tools
or
like
that I know of.
yeah,
That I
of
know of.
course, that's a valid point, valid comment. But like now, when we have access to Cloud Code, I realize that there are so many things that I don't have solutions for. But because of that, because of Cloud Code, I can quickly implement that. Before that, I wouldn't even think about implementing, and I would just, mm, try to find something, to do something. But it's really cool. But on one hand, there are so many conferences happening worldwide, right? And finding that there is no solution. And the other funny part is like you just implemented it yourself.
Well, there could be solutions, because
Yeah.
there's a lot of, we're flooded
Hmm.
with different solutions and different tools for conferences, and there's like the really big ones, really expensive
Yeah.
ones.
But you can have one for yourself, right? That is
Yeah.
specifically tailor-made for your specific case.
If there is one tool I could recommend for, like, it's not that expensive comparing to the value it brings, it's Sessionize. I think you pay like 500 euros per event or something, but it really, like, it helps manage a lot of the speaker things, because you have everything speaker related in one place. You
Like
can
call
communicate them
for
in one place.
proposals, right? And things
Yeah,
like this.
yeah, but also like have all, like, for example, for the communication people, we need photos from the speakers. Instead of having a form or an email, it's just centralized in one place. They can just with one click download all of the profiles and all of the photos, and then it's really easy to just use it. And then that saves a lot of time, because when we were not using it, like in DSPT, it was it was a nightmare, because we had to have spreadsheets to check who already sent it and manually put the photos in a folder on Drive, and it was like a lot of logistics work that now it's automated with
So
Sessionize.
now with Cloud Code, you would not re-implement this thing. You would just use Sessionize.
Yeah, I would, like, what we did is something on top. So this is also a suggestion I sent to them, and if they're listening, hope they listen. Is that we can have a way that we could, like an MCP server, where we could import the schedule, and then that would be just automate everything, and then that will be perfect. Because everything else is covered on their site. It's quite good.
And how, so you have this call for proposal, how difficult it is to get people engaged in that and actually go there and feel it, like, because you need to let people know that the conference is happening, the call for proposals is open, so now go and feel it out.
So typically we try. So this is, I think, where communities like Data Lead Club, Data Lead Talk. It's a lot of data communities. Data Talks Club come in, I think, and DSPT and others, that we can have it. They help us a bit share this call for speakers, and I think helps a lot to get the message out. We also use a lot of different mailing lists. And then what we also do is we reach out to speakers from the previous editions and we ask them if they know anyone who might be a really good speaker and if they could share the call with them. So we try to build a little bit. It's not really own call it community with the speakers, but more that we keep in touch with them.
Network, right?
Yeah, and a bit network so that we can also try to see if we can get anyone else.
Mm-hmm. That's nice. But also, like I imagine that you are now flooded with low quality proposals that are generated by ChatGPT and just copy pasted.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true. We had we had one proposal. We had a couple of proposals where even the candidate forgot to remove the the end of the prompt, like here, like here's the proposal, and then there's a proposal that says it's well written in English which is suitable for a technical conference, and I'm like, okay, no.
How lazy
For
could it be, right? Just remove
no, but
this
we
thing.
see we see we see we see this we see this, and I think, and we write, we actually, this is my in general my opinion, it's okay if you use AI, yeah, but
Yeah.
it's it helps you structure your thoughts and it helps you write things a bit better, but that it needs to come from you. And this is also what we say in
hmm
our call for speakers, that um don't basically be lazy and don't copy paste what's there, but
hmm
kind of use AI to like talk to the AI and try to get
hmm
a good outline for your talk, and not so much just give me something
Yeah.
which is noticeable, by the way, when you read the proposal. It's still quite noticeable when it's AI generated and
Yeah,
when
yeah.
someone had like thought about it.
It's for me personally, it's so helpful to actually because I have a vague idea and it helps me a lot to make it like more crystallized to really focus on what I want to do at the end. And this is invaluable. So I just speak to it and then at the end I can have a proposal that is good, right? I'll just ask it to remove M dashes and replace them with hyphens or whatever. Like
I mean, when people are lazy doing that, that's already I think a
yeah.
sign that
But like even before that, even before we noticed that ChatGPT, or I mean these LLMs, they like these M dashes. Like to me, I hated it when you don't have spaces around dash, right? So for me, like when you have these two words and then there is this long dash between them, like I really hated it. So I would
Mhm.
always ask LLM to fix it.
Yeah, no, it's
And,
it's it exaggerates, I think, on it too
yeah,
much.
yeah. Okay, so we talked about speakers, we talked about venue. Um, what else? So I know that so is it's a conference, you sell tickets, right? So every time somebody buys, it helps you cover all these costs. But you also have sponsors. So
Yeah.
which sometimes like now I understand why conference organizers need sponsors. But in the past I was thinking like you already have tickets, so we pay for tickets. Why there are also sponsors? So maybe can you tell us more about this? Like why there is a need for sponsors for a conference?
Well, it's I think I think there's several. I think it's more of a win-win kind of situation. So
hmm
by having sponsors, it basically brings the costs down for the participants. So there is if you look at it, there are some developer conferences and so on that don't have so many sponsors as, for example, we have, and you can see that the tickets are basically double or triple the price, and then what they do is sell them in big bulks, and then they have a huge discount, so it ends up being the same thing. What we are trying a bit here, and what we try to find, is price points where we're still competitive compared to other conferences. But this also means we need more support from the sponsors. On the other hand, I think that there is also kind of an opportunity that also for the sponsors, either it's through employer branding. We have a lot of sponsors who are there just to show off, to show what they do, that in the future when they need to recruit that people, that also their brand is associated with something technological. Some of them want to come to contribute to actually they're helping to sponsor because they really believe in the community, and they actually want to also help the community, and that they know that by sponsoring this also this event becomes sustainable, and it can generate also impact on the community. And by generating impact on the, like if the community is strong, also the company itself can get stronger because they have a bigger pool, a more educated pool from which where they could recruit, with whom they could work, with whom could the network interact with. So there's also this. And now we're also starting to see some sponsors coming more from the perspective of, we have something that's interesting from the practitioners. We would like to share it with you. We would like for you to see it, like if it's a tool that you would like to use.
Hmm.
Um, and I think we were super grateful to all the sponsors and all the support that we get, because again, otherwise I think we would need to double the price on the ticket.
Hmm.
And also they help sponsor another thing, and it's maybe sometimes not as visible, but we also have student tickets, because we think that um, there is a lot to learn from this conference, especially when you're coming from the university, where there is, let's say, limited exposure to the industry, and there you can really see how things happen in the industry itself, and learn a little bit about like what are actually data, how do actually data product looks like. And for those, we sell the tickets at a really low price, something like 50 euros, and that's really just so they can, like, it's a really, it's the only reason it's not for free is that there's actually some value from that actually show up, and that's actually the only reason. And then yeah, that's that's I think their important role, and basically having these sponsors help also kind of help us to have these tickets that can be cheaper for
Hmm.
students.
Yeah, what I heard from other conference organizers is if it was just for the price of the tickets, if it were only for tickets, they would barely break even, right? So they would
Yeah,
sometimes even spend more money than earn. And with sponsors, the sponsorships make it a little bit more profitable than before. Like it's not they are not making
yeah.
fortune, but it's
I think
sustainable.
I think without sponsorship, it wouldn't be. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure we wouldn't even break even. And maybe also to add to this, and it's not that the sponsors, so their sponsorship is not that they are just sponsoring, because basically they also get like the highest tier in our sponsorship, I think, get something like 20 tickets to
Hmm.
distribute in the company. So it's, even though yes, they're investing in sponsorship, so it's a bit, let's say, more pricey tickets if you want to see it from that perspective, but then they get more things out of it, such as
Hmm.
having this recognition.
Yeah. And for me, when I go to conferences, sponsors booths is my favorite place to hang out. I don't know. It's just this is where the conversations, real interesting conversations happen, especially like if you have a sponsored talk, and then the person who gave the talk is usually on the booth, so it's very easy to find them. So then okay, it was from this company, so I can just go to their booth and talk to the person, and then they can answer some questions they wouldn't be able to answer while standing on the stage, right? So some interesting discussions happen near the booths rather than
That's true. That's true. That's true.
in the
That's true.
hall.
That's true.
Um,
That I think he would be really a team Hui. He's also kind of, when he goes to events, I mean, he likes the talk sometime from time to time, but he's really more into going to the networking, talking to different
mhm.
people. I think his goal is to try to break the record of the most amount of people he can talk at an
Mhm.
event. So yeah,
Okay. Well, you also have this networking dinner, and for me, this dinner alone is the reason to go to Porto for the conference. That's really
yeah,
cool.
yeah. I think this year it's going to be on a boat on the river, so it's going to be a little bit
Okay,
different.
I hope I don't have seasickness.
It's on the river, so if it's
Uh,
seasickness, you're fine.
River sickness. Okay. How difficult is it to find I know myself, Data Docs Club exists because of the sponsors, and I know firsthand how difficult it is to find them, but maybe you tell us more like what is the process like? How do you look for them?
It's a lot of work, and I think it's also been a lot of work, especially again, a lot of kudos to Hui, that since he has been involved in the community and he has a large network. I think that he also has a good reputation amongst the network, and that if he's going to talk about data makers fast, that they already know the work that me and him, the two of us, did. There is a good amount of his network that already like say, okay, you're telling me this, but I can believe you because you have already proven that you did this, this, and this, and I know you, and I know the work that you do is important, and I know that also you're coming not from, let's say, self-interest, but also you really want to bring the community to a new level. So there, like in some part of it, there is this kind of a bit of these seeds that were planted by him and then afterwards by him and me for the last maybe 10 years, that helps us a bit to bring all these companies together. So that's on one hand. But on the other hand, that's not always typically enough. So then there's a lot of work of reaching out people, a lot of LinkedIn messages, a lot of emails, reminders. Yeah, it's always a struggle because we're a small team on how do you do good enough CRM, because all of them are quite complex. That's
Mhm.
quick to use. You don't need to update that much, but on the other hand, it's also stable. You can have all the information useful in one hand. So it's an
Maybe we
interesting
can
it's
vibe
it's
code
an interesting
one
process.
for you
We
for the
we
next one.
that we have thought about it as well.
Mhm.
That's the thought we had, I think, in the last
So
couple of
you
months.
hinted that there might be 2027 edition. So if a company wants to sponsor you, how do they reach out to you?
I think they could, if they will still have some slots even for this year,
Mhm.
if they're still
Okay.
thinking about it. But I think all the contacts are on our webpage, but you can also write to sponsors at datamakersfest.com.
Mhm.
And yeah, I think someone from Rui's team will reply for sure.
So you have a contact us link somewhere, right?
Yeah, yeah, but also sponsors at datamakersfest.com works, and it's really easy.
Okay. Partner with us, I see it. So and
Partner with
then
us,
when I
yes, partner with us.
click
That's
on
it.
it, it says first name, last name, company name, business email address.
Yeah,
Okay, so easy enough. Um, okay, that's very interesting. So thanks for sharing all that. We still have some time left, and I saw a few questions. They are not directly related to the topic of the organizing conference, but still, you maybe can help us answer these questions
let's
because
try. I'll
your
do my best.
your job now is head of R&D, and you work at a company that is doing this observability, AI observability. And the question was about field deployment engineers. So this was a request from somebody to make an event about that. I took it down. I wrote it down, so I have it in my notes. So I'll try to organize something. But Leonid, you mentioned that you might also share your perspective on this
I
role,
can, I can, I
and
can.
probably in your company you have these people, right? So can you
Yeah,
tell
we
us
have
more about them?
we have something. I think we never called them forward deployed engineers, but I think that's what we did. So I think, well, forward deployed engineer, that's a term that's from this little company that you might not know called Palantir, that they kind of
So our
did this.
intelligence company, right?
Yeah, so the I was joking, of course. But yeah, the intelligence company. So what they were trying to do, and what they did is they started. Now they have products for whatever other fields, and they're like really huge. But their first product they wanted to build is for the intelligence community, and basically they said, yeah, we could do something cool, but none of us are spies, right? So we really need to work with them, and the only way you could do it is actually going directly and working with these agencies. It's not that you can just build a product for them that they can use. So what they said is that what they did is kind of just start sending engineers them there. And basically what these forward deployed engineers, and I really think that this term is just coming from the fact that they're coming from this defense and whatever perspective, and that's why forward deployed. But the idea is that instead of building features for many customers, as a typical SaaS company would do, right? You would just say, okay, we're building a new product. These are the features. We try to talk to users, and we try to generalize this into one product. They did it the other way around. So they went to the customer, worked closely with one customer, tried to pick like that really one, two big problems that they really have, and that they knew they have a lot of buy-in from like the upper management level. So then they know things are grow much easily. And basically they sit there, they try to understand their systems, especially if they have legacy systems, because they're really focused on like connecting these different um, databases together. So they try to make everything out of it, and what are the specific needs. and then they build and deploy based on those needs and solutions that are on site. So what they do basically is they take whatever product they have, they fork it, and then it's a fork made for that certain company, and then it's personalized. And then they do this several times, right? One, two, three, four, five, six
So it
times.
can eventually become like it could be merged with the main.
It's not merged back, but you bring
Mhm.
ideas back. So
Okay.
you evolve your main branch, let's call it this way, your main repo, with ideas with patterns that you start seeing that are recurrent between clients and that are
Hmm.
problems, and then you try to bring it back. But then you always this, and there's also of course this process on how do you generalize it, how do you build it, what do you put in there.
Hmm.
um, Sometimes it's even about not so much about building new features, but creating it's called enablers, which allow for the forward deployed engineers to build things faster. So, for example, templates, or I don't know, um, anything that might be looking like that. So it's a bit like consultancy meets products, kind of a mashup together, I would say. Um, and that's and but I think that's at their data. This is something that we were already, I think, doing a bit um, before. We just didn't call it that, and we didn't kind of set up this kind of framework around it. But it's really what we're, especially for the product that we're
Hmm.
building, because it needs to be enterprise. Um, it's we really need to be in the client, talk to them, understand their pains, build things around what are their pains, and customize things, because these things you'll never get a one, especially for big corporations, you'll never get a one thing that fits all. And I think this is where we're really heading, is that we're really trying to make the product kind of wrap around the needs of the
Hmm.
customer, and not the other way around, where we try to generalize and say no to a lot of things as well. So
Hmm.
yeah.
So in your case, how is the role called? Is it solution engineer or?
We don't have an well, I think
Okay.
that's more about the thing about their data. We don't have like role. It's people
Hmm.
do a bit of everything. It's a little bit different. In general, it's a company a little bit different than most companies, I think, that you'll see there.
Hmm.
We have, for example, we have a big network which are mostly freelancers as well,
I see.
so they work mostly for their data. But then the big advantage is that they get a lot of freedom. They also get paid a higher rate. So basically, there's a bigger risk because you never know what happens, right? But on the other end, there's also an overhead of managing your own financials. But then they also get paid, like, basically we try to give the most that we can in terms of margin to the person, instead of having a fixed salary. And then you can also choose how much and what hours you want to work when you want to work. So we have young people who sometimes work more than 40 hours because they want to. But then, for example, me, I have a conference which I organize. I need like this flexibility. I have two kids. I like picking up my kid at 4:30 from school. So I get all this flexibility that I think there's not that many places where I
Okay.
could get it. And
Because I was going to ask you, how do you manage working and organizing the conference, and you just answer that.
yeah, it's that's the thing. It's I think that's the beauty of the data. And I think that's I think a different way, a little bit of
Hmm.
thinking about it. And
Yeah.
um and with that also, there's another thing, is that nobody really has a specific role. They might have a role in a project, so they might be an engineer, they might be a principal, whatever, but they don't have a role. Most people don't have a role within a company, because they can really
Hmm.
play these different parts when they want to.
Okay,
Because
that's cool.
even though I'm head of research and development, I'm also account manager for a couple of clients, but I'm also a project manager for some small projects. It's really
Hmm.
flexible. It really depends on what you want to do and what your areas of
Hmm.
interests are.
One last question before we wrap up. I know we are taking a little bit more time, but I
No
think this
worries.
is a good question. Um, I am a data scientist. I live in Spain, and I would like to go to Data Makers Fest. Do you think it makes sense to attend the conference being so junior? Okay, so
Being
I
what,
guess
sorry?
they are juniors. Being so, the person who is asking, they are juniors. They live in Spain and they want to attend Makers Fest. Like for a junior uh, person living in Spain, does it make sense to go to Porto for the conference?
I think definitely. I mean, if you definitely can, and you have the means to, I think yes. It's I think we have talks for about every every type of level. like that we have a little bit of introductory talks, we have intermediate talks, we have advanced talk, but I think even example, you don't understand some of the talks, the speakers from my experience that come to the event are very open to share and to discuss
Mm-hmm.
things. So this is, maybe I haven't said this, but this is also what we're trying to do with the Makers Fest, and therefore the fest in the name is that it's a really informal event. And it's made in that way so people can really share and are more open to sharing knowledge and discussing things. And the speakers that come to our event, we also try to focus on that. We, of course, we never can get 100% right, but we try to focus that the speakers that come also come in this kind of spirit,
Mm-hmm.
that more to share and discuss, and that they're really eager to also teach more people. So I think it's really interesting, and especially I think what can be taken away in this kind of conferences for more junior people. And this is why I love organizing these community things. It's the diversity of things, because sometimes when we're working out, let's say sports, that's a good idea. Let's say sports, you're working in sports and in sport data science, and you then you attend a financial kind of data science talk, or a fraud or whatever, or about fraud or whatever it is. And typically you can have problems, even though they seem very different, because one is about detecting fraud, the other one is about, I don't know, preventing injuries. But the underlying methodology sometimes can really help out connect things together, and you can really get a new perspective and new ideas just by this diversity of thinking and diversity of problems that people look at. So this is also why we try to mix having a bit more methodological talks, but also a bit of more just use cases, how I solve a certain problem, which was interesting because even if you don't work in that field, it's super interesting. And this happened a lot during my PhDs. For example, I connected a lot of things which I learned from signal processing to problems in time series, and I think it's super interesting. And if you're there, I think I think you can broaden up a bit your perspective on things. And especially, and the ones who live in Portugal, I would also recommend attending sometimes conferences which are outside of Portugal. And people who are not in Portugal, I would recommend to come to the conference, because I think you get to learn, you go to an environment which probably will have a way that people think differently, and probably you will learn something new and something different, because you tend to have these kind of clusters of knowledge, right? If you have a
Mm-hmm.
big group who are good in forecasting, they'll be great at it, but maybe they're not so good about thinking about, I don't know, I'm going to invent a bit, automotive industry kind of problem. So if you kind of go to these different conferences, these different clusters will be good at something, and we'll have a different way of thinking about problems that we might not have. And I think this is the biggest lesson also I learned from moving to Antwerp and being there for 5 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my colleague lives in Spain, and she checked how expensive the tickets are to Porto, and they are so cheap compared to the price from coming from Berlin to Porto.
Yeah,
Like,
but it's also closer, right?
yeah, it's closer. So, and by the way, so I'll be doing a workshop in the conference, and my workshop is junior friendly. So you just need to be
That's
able
true.
to program. As long as you can program, then it's going to be okay for you. And I assume that most content is like that, so, right? So maybe some things would be difficult to understand for some talks, but most of the talks, yeah, you should make sense from these talks, right? And if
That's
you
true.
don't, you can talk to the speaker. It always helps.
Yeah, that's true. That's
This
true.
is
That's
how
true.
I
That's
was
true.
doing.
That's
Okay,
true.
I'm not going to keep you longer. It was amazing to talk to you. Thanks a lot. I know you are very, very busy, so I'm really happy you could find time to speak to us, to share, to talk more about the conference, to share some things from your experience. So thanks a lot, Leonid, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you in Porto. Is it in 1 month, right? In
Yeah,
one
in
month.
one month in the little, that's not so
Yeah.
much time left. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
There's
I
still so
have
much to
now
do.
Easter holidays, and then I will be enjoying Porto after the
Yeah.
holidays.
Yeah. It will be great to see you again as well.
Yeah.